Welcome to Matiq News. I'm Akash.
I'm Ava.
Today, we're going back to 1947 as India gains independence and steps into a divided world.
While the US builds alliances, India chooses a different path, non-alignment.
This is episode 1, the beginning of a balancing act.
It's August 1947, and I can almost picture it. The early morning air in Delhi, the massive crowds, the weight of centuries shifting in a single moment. India is free. The tricolor rises, and it feels like an entire civilization is taking its first breath again.
And half a world away in Washington, D.C., that same moment arrives not through a celebration,
but through a telegraph machine, a thin strip of paper, a line of text. A new nation, independent, democratic, has entered the world.
That must have felt inspiring. Another democracy being born.
In theory, yes. But in 1947, the world wasn't looking for inspiration. It was looking for alignment. You were either with the United States or with the Soviet Union. Any country that stood in the middle made both sides nervous.
And India chose that middle ground, non-alignment.
For Jawaharlal Nehru, it wasn't a political stance, it was a personal one. He had spent his life under a colonial power. He had watched his country fight for dignity, not just independence. So when freedom finally came, she wasn't going to replace one flag with another. Non-alignment was India's way of saying, we choose our own path, our own mistakes, our own future.
That sounds intensely human, not strategic, human.
exactly,
But to President Truman's administration, that human reasoning
looked like hesitation.
America was trying to rebuild Europe with the Marshall Plan, build alliances like NATO, and contain the spread of communism. In their worldview, neutrality wasn't noble, it was suspicious.
Meanwhile, India was trying to survive, literal survival.
Yes.
Partition, refugee flows, food shortages, industries shadowed. While Washington debated ideological positions, Delhi was wondering how to save millions and hold its first democratic election.
So when the US offered aid with strings attached,
Nehru declined.
Politely,
That took courage, maybe even stubbornness, but it reflected something deeply.
psychological India needed help, yes, but it needed dignity more.
I imagine American diplomats must have been baffled.
Oh, absolutely. Ambassador Lloyd W. Henderson was sent to understand Nehru,
He spent months meeting Indian leaders.
absorbing the mood of a brand new nation. When he returned, his report basically said, India wants friendship, but not on our terms.
Friendship, but fragile.
Yes, America admired India's democratic ideals. India admired America's modernity. But their emotional languages clashed. One side spoke in strategic commitments, the other spoke in philosophical independence.
And then Pakistan. That must have changed everything.
It did. The US saw Pakistan as strategically located, a potential bulwark against the Soviet Union. So, it joining military alliances like SEATO and SEMTO, American weapons began showing into Karachi. From Delhi's perspective, that felt like betrayal, as if Washington had chosen sides in a rivalry barely a year old.
It almost sounds like the relationship should have broken there.
It didn't.
Because relationships between nations aren't just built by diplomats.
They're built by people, by curiosity, by academic dreams, and by hunger sometimes, literally.
You mean the food aid program?
Yes. The PL 480 food aid program sent millions of tons of wheat to India.
During drought years. It saved lives, but it also reminded India that help often came with influence. Still, it's suffering hearts. American wheat entered Indian kitchens, and with it came low shift in perception.
So even when the politics were cold, people kept the bridge warm.
Exactly. Indian students went to American universities. American scholars came to Delhi.
In labs, not embassies, the first true partnership began. Young Indians started seeing the US as a place of possibility, innovation, science.
And Washington slowly began to see India not as a question mark, but as a democratic experiment worth watching.
Yes, India was the only post-colonial nation trying to make democracy work at massive scale. That alone made it too symbolic to ignore. So the early years weren't a honeymoon. They were a learning curve, a negotiation, a friendship with boundaries and question, and a conversation that was only just beginning.
The early India-US relationship wasn't simple. It was cautious, idealistic, and deeply human. In our next episode, we explore how food and science changed everything.
Episode 2, Feeding a Nation, Cooperation During the Dream Revolution.
And like, share, and subscribe to Matiq News. Thanks for listening.